Hola, yo soy Ben, soy de Georgia.
Hola, mi nombre es Liam, soy de Virginia.
Hola, mi nombre es Aiden, soy de Missouri.
Hola, mi nombre es Joey, soy de Iowa.
Hola, mi nombre es Luke, soy de Ohio.
Hola, mi nombre es Andrew, soy de Arkansas.
Hola, mi nombre es Sarah y soy de Pennsylvania.
Hola, mi nombre es Anna, soy de Tennessee.
Hola, mi nombre es Aislinn, soy de Alaska.
Hola, mi nombre es Rachel, soy de North Carolina.
Hola, mi nombre es Levi, soy de Iowa.
Hola, mi nombre es Ryu, soy de Wyoming.
Hola, mi nombre es Isaac, soy de South Carolina.
Hola, mi nombre es Faith, soy de Maryland.
Hola, mi nombre es Hannah, soy de Florida.
Hola, mi nombre es Ashley, soy de Florida.
Hola, mi nombre es Elizabeth, soy de Maryland.
Hola, mi nombre es Angélica, soy de Pennsylvania.
Hola, mi nombre es Ariana, soy de Wisconsin.
Hola, mi nombre es Cheyenne, soy de Florida.
Hola, mi nombre es Faye, soy de South Carolina.
Just a second ago, I'm going to give my testimony. So I grew up in a Christian household for most of my life. Unfortunately, my dad was an alcoholic until I was about 10 years old, and that caused me to have a really bad relationship with him until I was a teenager. And even now, there are some things that he said and did that I just don't want to talk about. I don't feel like I'm ready to dredge those things up with my dad. But after he quit drinking, my dad got progressively more and more fired up for God. He got more involved in the church. He ended up becoming an elder, and he became the head of the missions program at my church. So he was a really strong Christian influence in my life. I always thought that I was saved because I prayed the prayer and I said all the right words, but looking back, I've come to realize that the real reason I did it was because I wanted to impress my dad. I still struggled with these conflicts that I had with him when he was an alcoholic, and so to me, I wanted to make him proud, and the best way to do that was to follow in his footsteps and say I'm saved and become a Christian and get baptized in front of the church and things like that. Essentially, I lived a less than lukewarm faith because I wanted to make my dad happy. In spite of that, I said everything a Christian would say so that everyone in my life would think I am a Christian. I mean, in all reality, I can't face my church and my dad and the private Christian school that I go to and tell them, okay, I never believed in the first place, when they've believed that I'm a Christian and I'm saved my entire life. So I made a mask for myself. I put on my Christian mask when I needed it at school or at church or whenever, but when I'm around my friends who are lukewarm Christians or not Christians at all, I'd take it off and I'd be the secular Joey that some people knew me as. Unfortunately, I stayed this way for a really long time, and because of the limiter I'd set on my relationship with my parents because of my dad's alcoholic past and my mom being a little more reserved about doing anything about it, the only people I were really close to were people that I weren't going to help me grow spiritually. So this led me to a sort of a scholarly way to approach religion. I'd learn as much as humanly possible about theology and Christianity and all of that, and then I would regurgitate the information that I had picked up because it made me seem more like a Christian, and it made me seem like I was really strong in my faith. This isn't a really fruitful way of living, and when I made mistakes that led me to an extreme amount of guilt and pain in my life, I didn't have a bond with God, and I didn't think that I was forgiven or ever could be forgiven. And after the first time I did something that to me was unforgivable, I began to find ways to punish myself in a variety of different ways that I'm not going to go into. And after some time of that and it not making me feel any better, I ended up losing my desire to continue living as a whole. After beginning to act on this feeling and God holding my hand, even though I didn't realize it at the time, I ended up going to my parents, and that was when I started to restore my relationship with my dad and with my mom. I still struggled with a lingering feeling, though, that I didn't want to be alive. And regardless of how many times I denied it to my parents, I still felt this way. A couple of years later, I found myself involved in an extremely unhealthy relationship with a girl. We weren't dating, but we did some things together that I'm quite ashamed of, and I became very attached to her. She knew this, and she used that to manipulate me, which led me to feeling the way that I had felt before when I had made mistakes that I found to be unforgivable. What made matters worse was that she claimed to be a Christian, and everything that she was and everything she did was because of God. So to me, Christianity is now some huge bogus worldview that people use just to justify the wrongs that they do and place themselves above other people. It's some sort of self-righteous lie. And that was how I felt upon arriving here at Teen Missions. I had convinced myself that I was an atheist because of this perspective that I had on the Christian worldview. And so I got here and I was like, God, you're not going to do anything in my life here at Teen Missions International. You're not going to change my heart. You're not going to do anything good for me. Maybe I'll get a few good pictures and videos and I'll be able to throw them together and make some cool video for my college portfolio. But nothing beyond that is going to happen. 2 days later, I was up here at the altar crying my eyes out and begging God to forgive me. And I had fully accepted that Jesus Christ was my Lord and Savior. And I was ready to take the first step and be a tool for God to use to further His plan in the world. And God didn't just stop there. He began working in every part of my life. He started working on my pride, my failure to forgive both my dad, the people that had wronged me at school, and even forgiving myself. I've grown socially as well. I've formed friendships with some of the best people I've ever met, and I really hope that these relationships are going to last me forever. God saw every single hardship in my life that I told Him it was impossible for Him to fix, and He took it personally. And He said, "Is that all?" And now the only thing I needed to do was to hand over control, and Teen Missions has helped me to realize that.